Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Robert McNeely with the magnificent Matthew Alvarez.
Thank you so much, Robert, as we are live there in the White House, as well as we are going to go to the East Room of the White House as President Trump signs his first bill into law. A great moment in American history.
It really is, and it's, I'm sure, a sad moment again for the family members, the friends, the victims. This person who killed Laken Riley, this illegal Venezuelan migrant who really had free reign to go throughout our country. Of course, he was in New York for a period of time, made his way down to Georgia and was looking for a victim. And this beautiful nursing student at the University of Georgia in Athens was out for a normal afternoon jog when she was targeted, raped, and murdered by a Venezuelan illegal migrant. And justice coming to the family in the form of that court case that you might have caught during the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, but the victim impact statements, the witness testimony, so sad to hear and listen to as these girls' lives are changed. Her roommates, they were really, truly sisters. They loved one another and really are experiencing PTSD as a result of this. This should have never happened in the first place. Even President Clinton said this on the campaign trail. If this person was properly vetted, this would not be an issue.
100%. Now, under this bill, the details are as follows. The Department of Homeland Security must detain an individual who is unlawfully present in the United States or did not possess the necessary documents when applying for admission. So, when that person has been charged with or arrested for, convicted of, or admits to have committed acts that constitute the essential elements of burglary, theft, larceny, or shoplifting, they must be detained by the Department of Homeland Security. So this is yet another way that we are seeing the deportation process happen. And we'll show you video in just a bit of the southern border of our military there, video directly from the DOD. So we're seeing this really happen, that national emergency that President Trump has declared there on the southern border.
Yes, absolutely. And this really ties into also the failure of certain district attorneys to prosecute these crimes. It is perhaps most egregious with the language that has to be written into this bill because of the low-level crimes of people breaking into different restaurants or even retail stores. And it's looked at as petty theft, even misdemeanors being taken off the table as an option. And then in turn, you see gang action happening as a result. And even outside of illegal immigration, you've seen young residents, teenagers, doing this for fun, to quote some of their activities. And of course, it's been really a problem for so many in civil society. So again, law and order being reinstituted into our society.
We're seeing the 20 core promises to the American people by the Trump administration that was discussed over the campaign trail slowly come to fruition right now. When I say slowly, I mean that's 20 promises that have to do with pretty much everything in our country that needs to be turned around. But the historic speed that we're seeing the executive orders signed gets the ball rolling in every faction that we're looking at here. So we'll follow it on Right Side Broadcasting Network. This live broadcast brought to you by Brightcore, mybrightcore.com. All you have to do is purchase 2, get 1 free. And why do that? Well, the Kimchi 1 product is quite awesome.
Made in the USA, all health starts within your gut. So buy 2, get 1 free if you visit mybrightcore.com/RSBN or call that number on your screen, 888-722-0936. And this is something that can really make a difference in your new year. So get this beautiful bottle now of Kimchi 1, brought to you by the great sponsors here at Right Side, Brightcore.
Exactly. So the kimchi is very nutritious, of course, a probiotic to help the whole system out. So great sponsor there, as you see, mybrightcore.com/RSBN. As we do take that live look at the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we are in day 9 of the second President Trump administration. And as I said yesterday, it felt like, since we were in day 8, it felt like more like 88 days in a good way, as we continue to see the President here sign a bill into law, his first bill signed into law, the Laken Riley Act. We'll go over the bill once again if you're just joining us in a minute, but it's going to be in the East Room of the White House, a beautiful part of the White House there.
Mm-hmm. A very ornate building. If you've had a chance to do the regular tour, it's something really to enjoy and reflect upon the wonderful dinners that have been in there, famous bill signings, addresses that you've seen when President Obama ordered the strike against Osama bin Laden. He gave that address from the East Room as well. And of course, President JFK, he was lying in state in the East Room as well. So a room that's quite famous, many big presidential events and moments. Of course, you see that there for the Medal of Freedoms, the Medal of Honor as well. Also a place where they unveiled the former president's portrait. So a very special room for the family, even if they just want to enjoy an evening in and dine together.
And many heads of state, of course, from around the world. That's where they have the two podiums where POTUS, the President of the United States, and then the other head of state there, the dignitary that would speak there in the East Room. So this is where that's going to be. We're going to go in live there. First time live in the East Room, maybe in the history of Right Side Broadcasting Network, with the access we're going to get. Of course, we've had a lot of access to the White House over the years. We've seen the Oval Office. We've seen the press briefing room. We've seen the Roosevelt Room just the other day for a press conference. And now we're going to go to the East Room of the White House with that live feed in there as we get ready to see the president sign this bill. Now, the live coverage brought to you by Tax Network USA, 800-357-1415. Robert, we see that, tnusa.com/RSBN as well.
And these are great patriots who have supported our mission so well, and we support theirs as we have April 15th right around the corner. And the Gipper once said that July 4th is the day that every Republican celebrates. Every day in America is July 4th for Republicans. For the Democrats, it's more like April 15th. And sadly, April 15th is a little bit sooner than our birthday. So Tax Network USA, tnusa.com/RSBN, call 1-800-357-1415. Settle your back taxes now. And sometimes you have people actually overpaying because they think they're doing the right thing. These consultants here are American first, and they care deeply about our country and the values that we share on this network. So tnusa.com/RSBN. Thank you to the Tax Network USA Incorporated. It's really something that hopefully will have some reform soon. I mean, President Trump wants to get rid of the federal income tax. He's spoken on that. He actually wants to establish as well the external income service. So, you know, it's something he spoke on the other day at the House GOP conference at Doral in Miami, stating that we used to have so much money, we created these blue ribbon committees to fund our schools and other things within the country. And this was in the 1880s, 1890s, arguably up against the GDP, our wealthiest time per capita in the country. Then 1913 rolled around with the progressives and the institution of that progressive income tax. So maybe a new dawn in America in regards to how we fund things. And it just makes more sense. To President Trump's point, we used to tariff other countries in order to support the robust American economy. It seems as if we should do that again.
Well, that's also called the External Revenue Service, something new that is created under this second administration. Looking forward to seeing how that works here on Right Side. As we're about 4 minutes away from the top of the hour, that's the time that this event is scheduled to start in the East Room. We'll bring it to you in its entirety. Of course, a very important bill signed into law today, the first bill signed into law by the president, the 47th president, President Donald Trump. Again, under the bill, the Department of Homeland Security must detain an individual who is unlawfully present in the United States or did not possess the necessary documents when applying for admission. So when that person has been charged with or arrested or convicted of or admits to have committed acts that constitute the essential elements of burglary, theft, larceny, or shoplifting, they must be detained by the Department of Homeland Security. There's some more details to the bill there. We'll hear a lot more from the president here in just a minute. I know that he's going to sign that executive order, Robert, but do you think that since he's in the East Room, that presidential podium with the seal will be there and he will deliver a speech as well, maybe after, or take some questions from the press?
I would not be surprised by that because this was highlighted on his campaign. And of course, the first bill he's signing into law. And sadly, you did have some bipartisan support, and that was good. But sadly, the House especially, you had many Democrats opposing this, which this is just common sense legislation, especially after this victim, this beautiful young nursing student, simply should not have been abused like this and her life taken for going out on a jog. It could have happened to any one of us. It wasn't as if that she was out in the middle of the night. She was out just doing her normal routine, and sadly this monster was waiting for her. And hopefully this does not happen anymore in America with these ICE raids, with Border Patrol securing that border, with the military down there as well, and the Army Corps of Engineers. President Trump really in the last 10 days securing America as quickly as he can.
Why don't we take a look at the video from the southern border in just a minute? Let's take a look at this great sponsor, Colonial Metals Group. Robert has the free gold guide right there. So it's freegoldguide.com/RSBN, all about tax-sheltered IRAs, 401ks, good financial peace of mind, gold-backed IRAs and 401ks. Right there. The information is on your screen as well.
And you can scan that QR code to shield your savings now. You get this beautiful guide with no obligation, just research to see what's good for you and your family, to diversify your assets and your properties and perhaps your 401k and IRA into precious gold, silver, and tangible metals that can be the hedge against inflation, because so much now is so expensive. Caroline Levitt highlighted yesterday in the first press briefing that the Biden administration had millions of chickens killed and eggs are through the roof. So we've seen the effects of inflation, especially at the grocery store and at the pump, these basic needs that Americans must have to survive. So the only way to hedge against that is the time-tested and worthy gold, silver, precious metals.
Also, on top of that, the eggs, you can barely find them in some of the stores. I know that's the way it's been down here in the South in various stores. So looking forward to seeing Maganomics take over as well. As it's about the top of the hour here, let's pivot to the southern border as we take a look at video from down there. This is from the Department of Defense. This is our Marines, our Army, about 1,600 active troops sent there in conjunction with 2,500 that are already there, all securing the border. So as soon as President Trump enters the East Room, we'll go there live, of course, but you're looking at video taken over the past couple days of that happening there along the southern border. So President Trump saying this is a national emergency. You see it there on the border. Then you see ICE taking people off the streets, especially connected to crime, and cleaning up everything. That is all on the same page of what we're about to see him sign today.
And Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem literally on the ground with ICE in New York for those raids, and they're taking out the worst of the worst. I mean, these are people who were perpetrators of child sex crimes and child pornography and really violent crimes that no one should be put through. And lives changed because of monsters who illegally came into this country. This is preventable crime. We've also seen Tom Homan, the border czar, with Dr. Phil, actually, right in Chicago, questioning these charged individuals, and we'll see how this continues to proceed, because they're proud of the operations, but they want to keep going, and you'll literally have potentially hundreds of thousands leaving the country every day to get them out of this country because they should not have been here in the first place.
Exactly, and there are many executive orders still being signed by the president. Just recently, I'm going to look here for one that was just released by the Office of Communications over at the White House, protecting children from chemical and surgical mutilation. So by the authority vested in the president, by the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, across the country today, medical professionals are maiming and sterilizing a growing number of impressionable children under the radical and false claim that adults can change a child's sex through a series of irreversible medical interventions. So the president there basically saying this is going to stop, and also there might be a pulling of certain kind of funding from places that do provide that terrible service there.
Right. It's really hard to believe that in 2025 we're dealing with situations like this. It almost seems as if it's a Tom Clancy novel, but President Trump and his team jumping right into it and defending the American people from these atrocities, because sadly there are vested interests in all of this. And I think we saw that with the RFK hearing this morning and into the afternoon about these Democrats that would speak over him, not give him a chance to answer questions, even one claiming that he was going to get rid of stem cell research because of President Trump's pro-life stances. And of course, we know that RFK Jr. himself actually has a pro-choice view and disagrees with President Trump on some of those issues, but they've come together for the health and benefit of the entire nation. And he responded, Senator, you know that there's no need for fetal tissue anymore in stem cell research. We could take from umbilical cords, we can take from the spine as well. Technology has advanced so quickly, but sadly, we have gone backwards with some people who either have an agenda or who are doing these horrible things to our minors in the name of transgender rights. And these are surgeries that you cannot reverse. So very happy to see that President Trump is defending America's youth.
Exactly. So we see that happening throughout the country. Every time President Trump would be speaking at various rallies, when he would say those things, ending critical race theory and all those woke policies, obviously many of you that are watching, those of you that have been to rallies, it was a loud cheer from all of you. So again, we the people winning with President Trump. Programming note for today. So we're going to go to the White House in just a bit, the East Room there, to see the president sign the Laken-Riley Act. Also worked on and co-sponsored by people like Representative Eli Crane and Representative John McGuire out of Virginia. The programming note is after that happens here, we'll carry coverage until about 3:15 Eastern, when the Vice President will swear in Sean Duffy as the Secretary of Transportation, yet another great pick by the President. And as we await the President right now in the White House, what we can do is, why don't we go to RFK Jr. just from moments ago when he was talking for about 1:35 seconds. There's a soundbite where he just really opens up and says why he has chosen to agree to become the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. So, Director, once that's ready and queued up, please let me know, and then we can go to it. But it's great to hear RFK Jr. Speaking so genuinely.
It really was. And Senator Ron Johnson, I thought, really hit it on the head during the confirmation hearing that isn't it great to see how people from different political persuasions coming together, and this is President Trump and Mr. Kennedy, in order to make America healthy again. It's really something that is so important. And the fact that chronic disease in this country, 60% of Americans, Dr. Roger Marshall bringing that up, the senator from Kansas, have some form of chronic disease in this country. So Mr. Kennedy wants to focus on tackling that issue and also getting the poisons out of our foods and making sure we have clean air, soil, and water as well, so that our farmers can actually export meat overseas. Sure, Europe won't take our meat right now. It's extraordinary to think about.
It's wild. Yeah, the toxins just have to be out of our country and out of our food, of course. And this is the soundbite from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. from earlier.
And it was about uniting Americans, Democrats and Republicans. There's no issue that should unite us more than this chronic health epidemic. There's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. These are our kids. 66% of them are damaged. I know what a healthy kid looks like because I had so many of them in my family. I didn't know anybody with a food allergy growing up, peanut allergy. Why do 5 of my kids have allergies? Why are we seeing these explosions in diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, neurological diseases, depression, all of these things that are related to toxics in the environment? Why can't we just agree with each other to put differences about so many issues, intractable issues aside, and say, we're going to end this? I don't think anybody is going to be able to do this like I have because of my peculiar experience, because I've litigated against these agencies. When you litigate against them, you get a PhD in corporate capture and how to unravel it. I've written 6 books about these agencies. I know a lot about them and I know how to fix it. And there's nobody who will fix it the way that I do because I'm not scared of vested interests. I don't care. I'm not here because I want a position or a job. I have a very good life and a happy family. This is something I don't need. I want to do this.
Room of the White House there. as we await President Trump to appear, and the podium is set up. So we'll see. Maybe he'll make comments first and then sign, and then comments after maybe, and then maybe a Q&A. So we'll see. We'll have it all for you right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is live coverage as it's 2:07 on this Wednesday, January 29th. 9 days, Robert. Can you believe that it was just 9 days ago that he got sworn in as the president?
Such a relief for the American people. And again, promises made, promises kept. He is going to fight for you every day, as Caroline Levitt said yesterday. And on top of that, the press has such access not only to her, the press secretary, but to, as she said, the best spokesperson for the White House. And that's the 47th president, Donald Trump.
Exactly. So we'll be hearing from him shortly. And then later today, right after this event happens, we'll be seeing the Vice President, J.D. Vance, swear in Sean Duffy for the Department of Transportation. Of course, we know we need better roads in various parts of this country, the bridges, the overpasses, and even rail and such. So we're looking forward to seeing that happen. And we'll have it all right here on RSBN Live. Again, it's 2:08. We're going to go to the East Room here shortly. Why don't we just take you to the room even right now before the president is there? Just listen in, just get the feel of what it's like to be there.
My answers will be satisfying.
Well, yeah, you got to go down one level.
For the whole
The
thing?
wide shot, yeah. Well, I mean, once he's talking,
Once he's talking?
yeah.
Okay. I can do that. Okay. I'm trying this very convoluted way of getting around.
ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Please, thank you very much. Before we begin, I want to provide a brief report on the unprecedented success our country has been witnessing in recent weeks. Since even before the election, we've been making extraordinary progress. The American people gave us a clear mandate to save our country, and we won all 7 swing states by large margins, historic. Very importantly, we won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. Also, all 50 states, as you know, shifted toward the Republican Party, and that's never happened before. All 50, every single one of them. In our first week in office, we set records, taking over 350 executive actions. That's not been done before. And it has reportedly been the single most effective opening week of any presidency in history. And we want to keep it that way. We want to keep it going. We want to keep it going. We've broken from decades of failed Washington policies and restored common sense and sanity to our government. We've unleashed American energy, and we've already achieved record low illegal immigration. As you see, there's nobody trying to get in. And that's what we've been waiting for a long time, and gotten woke ideologies out of our government and out of our military. The water has now begun flowing in California as we continue to increase the flow in coming days. Nobody's seen anything like that. And I've also taken strong action to regain control of the Washington bureaucracy. Just for clarification purposes, because it was incorrectly reported yesterday, we have informed the federal workforce, which they've looked to do for many years, that if they're working for the federal government, they must show up to the office on time and on schedule. We don't want them. We don't want them to work from home because, as everyone knows, most of the time they're not working, they're not very productive. And it's unfair to the millions of people in the United States who are, in fact, working hard from job sites and not from their home. As federal employees, they must meet a high standard. They're representing our government. They're representing our country. If they don't agree by February 6th to show up back to work in their office, they will be terminated, and we will therefore be downscaling our government, which is something that the last 10 presidents have tried very hard to do but failed. Most of the people we're talking about have not been going to their federal offices in many, many years, from even before COVID. But they have nevertheless been paid. Some have worked, some haven't worked, and most of the studies say that some have just gone through the motions. We may ask these people to prove that they didn't have another job during their so-called employment with the United States of America, because if they did, that would be unlawful. As you understand, a lot of people are getting paychecks, but they're actually working other jobs, so they'll have to prove that to us that they weren't. In any event, we're requiring them to show up to work or be terminated. We think a very substantial number of people will not show up to work, and therefore our government will get smaller and more efficient, and that's what we've been looking to do for many, many decades, frankly. Thank you. In addition, there was a short-term pause or funding freeze on certain discretionary spending payments, such as government grants, only for us to quickly look at the scams, dishonesty, waste, and abuse that's taken place in our government for too long. As was explicitly stated, this in no way affected Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, or other entitlements that Americans depend on. I've made abundantly clear from the very first day that I ran from office, that was a long time ago now, that's 2015. If you think about it, I announced in 2015 and we won in 2016. We did very well in 2020, but we did really well just recently. And I'm restating right now to correct any confusion that the media has purposely and somehow, for whatever reason, created Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid have not been affected by any action we're taking in any way, shape, or form. We are merely looking at parts of the big bureaucracy where there has been tremendous waste and fraud and abuse. In that process, we identified and stopped $50 million being sent to Gaza to buy condoms for Hamas. 50 million. And you know what's happened to them? They've used them as a method of making bombs. How about that? We stopped an attempt to make an illicit payment for illegal alien resettlement. We canceled $181 million in DEI training contracts. This is just for the training of people in DEI, which has been terminated and completely terminated. And we paused $1.7 billion in unauthorized payments to foreign organizations, including stopping more than $40 million that was on its way out the door to the very corrupt World Health Organization, which has not done its job and not done it properly. We also... We also blocked $45 million for diversity scholarships in Burma. 45, that's a lot of money for diversity scholarships in Burma. You can imagine where that money went. These were the types of payments, and many others. I could stand here all day and tell you things that we found, and we have to find them quickly because we want the money to flow to proper places. But these were the payments and types of payments affected by the temporary freeze, and the American people strongly support these efforts. I talked about it during the campaign, and they voted for us in record numbers. Every single day, we're now putting America first and fighting to get the most out of every single tax dollar for our great citizens. We've gathered this afternoon to take another historic action, however. In a few moments, the Laken-Riley Act will become the very first bill that I proudly sign into law as the 47th President of the United States. Laken was a brilliant and beautiful 22-year-old nursing student from Georgia, the best in her class. She was always the best. They would say, Laken, how do you do this? And what do you do? They were always asking her questions. She was respected by everybody, even her teachers. They respected her so much. From the time she was in first grade, Laken knew she wanted to spend her time caring for others. That's what she did. To her friends and classmates, she was a light of warmth and kindness in every single room. To her parents and family, she was everything in the world. They've had a miserable period of time. Just after 9 a.m. last February 22nd, Laken went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia, but she was just never returned. She never came back, did she, huh? Parents are here, sister, all of her relatives. While on her run, Laken was attacked, viciously assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and murdered by an illegal alien gang member who was set loose into our country by the last administration. We are deeply honored to be joined today by Laken's parents, Allison and John, and her sister, Lauren. Thank you very much. Thank you. So sad. We were together right after that happened, and it's a tremendous tribute to your daughter, what's taking place today. That's all I can say, but it's so sad we have to be doing it at all. Thank you very much for being here. To Laken's family, we will keep Laken's memory alive in our hearts forever, everyone's hearts. With today's action, Her name will also live forever in the laws of our country, and this is a very important law. This is something that has brought Democrats and Republicans together. That's not easy to do. Laken did it. Laken did it. America will never, ever forget Laken Hope Riley. The vicious criminal who murdered Precious Laken was an illegal alien member of the barbaric Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua. He trespassed across our southern border in 2022 and was apprehended by Border Patrol, but under the cruel policies of the last administration, instead of being deported, as he should have been, he was released into the United States, as were millions of other people, many of them very dangerous people. And you see what we're doing? We're getting them the hell out of here. He was soon arrested again in New York City on charges of endangering a child, but because of New York City's deadly sanctuary policies, as we have in California, released again to reoffend. The Biden administration then provided this illegal alien criminal with a free, taxpayer-funded flight from New York to Georgia, where he was arrested yet again, constantly, this time for stealing from a Walmart along with his gang member brother, who was a bad one. Only after being released a third time by the U.S. law enforcement did this cold-blooded criminal go out in that fateful morning hunting for women on whom to prey. That's what he did. He hunted. It was like a hunter. I'm going to show him who the hunter is. This horrific atrocity should never have been allowed to happen. And as president, I'm fighting every single day to ensure that such a tragedy never happens again. We don't want this to happen. And under the law, thank you. Under the law I'm signing today, the Department of Homeland Security will be required to detain all illegal aliens who have been arrested for theft, burglary, larceny, shoplifting, assaulting a police officer, murder, or any crime that results in death or serious injury. In addition, for the first time ever, this act gives state governments the ability to sue the federal government for immediate injunctive relief if any future administration ever again refuses to enforce the immigration laws of the United States, like happened for 4 long years. And that was happening for 4 long years, frightful years. Amazing. You'd say, how can people do this? How can they allow this to happen? How can they allow criminals to pour into our country and then try and defend it? And they're still trying to defend it, but they can't. That's why I'm here instead of somebody else, actually. It's the biggest reason. I believe it's the single biggest reason. Inflation was horrible. Many things were horrible during that administration. When you look at what took place in Afghanistan, the way they got out, not that they got out, but the way, so many things were horrible. But to me, this was the worst of all. It's a landmark law that we're doing today. It's going to save countless innocent American lives. I want to thank every House Republican, every Senate Republican, as well as the 12 Senate Democrats and the 48 House Democrats who voted to pass this vitally important bill, and many of them are with us today, and I really do appreciate it. And I very much especially appreciate the bipartisan support. The Democrats, really a big percentage of them came through, and plenty of them wanted to. They probably felt they couldn't, but they really wanted to. That they don't understand that would have made them a lot more popular, would have made them a lot better with their people. The ones that didn't are going to be sorry, because the people are not going to forget that they wouldn't sign. This is a perfect, incredible tribute to an unbelievable young lady. We're joined today by many great supporters of our new strong border policies, and they are indeed strong, including Vice President Vance, thank you, JD, the Secretary Scott Bessent, who just got approved, by the way. Where's Scott? He just got approved. Scott, I'm very impressed. Got a lot of Democrat votes there. He got a lot of Democrat votes. That's great. I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'll have to think about that. Secretary of Homeland Security, who's going to be fantastic. I know her so well, and I know it's probably not complimentary because she is a woman, but she is tough. Where is she? Where is Christy? Christy, great. Stand up, please. You have such an important job to do. Really great. Thank you very much. And don't let that look fool you. That look is, she's tough, and she cannot stand that she's having to sit here and even listen to this today. Another one who's done a job like nobody that I've seen in a long time, Tom Homan. He's my friend, but he is something special. He's something special. Great. And Tom and Christy, the numbers are unbelievable. What's happened? It's like just shut down. Nobody thought that was even possible. It's just shut down. They showed an area that a year ago had thousands and thousands of people rushing into our country. And today there was nobody there. It was like a beautiful sight. And also Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso. Great guy. Great guy. Thank you, John. And I also want to thank the bill sponsors, Senator Katie Britt. Katie, thank you, Katie. And Congressman Mike Collins. And Mike, you were fantastic from Georgia. He took this. He loves his state, and he took this very personally. So it's thank you very much, Mike. As well as Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley. Chuck is here someplace. Chuck, thank you very much. You look great. And House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, who's a special guy, special man. And House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mark Green. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. And we have many other congressmen and senators, but I'm not going to introduce because this is about your daughter. This is about something that's so important, and we're going to just go along. Thank you also. We have to say Burt Jones is in the room, and Burt is your lieutenant governor, and he was on this like you wouldn't believe. Thank you very much. I see you sitting there. Thank you very much. So we have state, local officials, we have law enforcement organizations, we have everybody. Most of them are in the room or represented in the room, and they're incredible people, and I've never seen them come together like they have for this. I've done many of these, not of this kind, but different bills, different passages having to do with many different things, from homeland security to inner security to taxes to 50 different items. I've never seen such support as you have today and as your great daughter has today. So I've never seen anything like it. And we have to thank your daughter for that, because she's going to save a lot of lives. She's going to be responsible for saving a lot of lives. So I'd like to just say to the Angel families, I've been with them and they've been with me from 2015 when I first got this crazy idea in my head to run for president because we can do better as a country. I want to thank so many of the people that are here that have been the angel moms, and we call them angel moms, but they're angel families, fathers and sons and daughters, but they've suffered tremendously like you have for no reason whatsoever. I want to thank Alexis Nungari, the mother of 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari, murdered last summer by 2 illegal alien gang members released into the United States by Joe Biden's open border stupid policies. And thank you very much, Alexis. I want to thank you very much. We had an amazing trip, and it was really special to meet you and your family. Appreciate it very much. So sad we have to be here, frankly. And Jocelyn, as you know, is in our hearts as she was then. It was an amazing day we had, a great day. But it was a day of celebration of somebody that unfortunately won't be with us. But she is with us now, you know that. Here also is Patty Morin, the mother of Rachel Morin, killed 2 years ago by an illegal alien who was let into our country by the last administration's ridiculous, weak policies. Open border, can you imagine? When I heard open border, I said, oh, that's terrible. They're going to release their prisons all over the world. They're going to release their prisons into our country. That's exactly what happened. Patty is joined by Rachel's brother, Michael, Rachel's daughter, Clementine, and sister-in-law, Shannon. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. With us as well is the loving family of Kayla Hamilton, a 20-year-old girl murdered in July 2022 by the MS-13 illegal alien gang member who is violent, vicious, and they knew it, and they didn't do anything about it. And I want to thank you to Kayla's mother, Tammy, and her grandmother, Kathy, and her stepfather, Jeremiah, very much. And finally, I want to thank others who have also suffered this horrible scourge that goes on with young people being killed, and other people too, but young people, largely young people being killed. Thank you to Scott Root, the father of Sarah Root, killed at 21 years of age. Think of that, 21, by an illegal alien. Shouldn't have been in our country, would have never been in our country if we were here. What a sad thing. To each of these angel families, we love you and we stand in awe of your courage and your strength. It's the toughest thing anybody has to go through. Many of the angel families here today were betrayed by the last administration and with its heartless and foolish and really very, very arrogant and very, very dumb policies. Policies that aren't even believable when you talk about common sense. I say we're the party of common sense, but the Democrats also, they have plenty of common sense, and that's why so many are here today and so many supported what we're doing. The very government that was supposed to protect their daughters instead opened our borders and transported the world's most dangerous criminals straight into their communities. They came from prisons and jails and insane asylums and mental institutions from all over the world, not just South America. People think South America. They come from all over the world. They come from every continent. And they came here by plane, and they were loaded onto buses, and they were driven right up to our border, and they drove right through the border, and nobody even said a word to them. And in those buses and those cars and those trucks were some of the meanest criminals anywhere in the world. As of last September, 425,000 illegal alien criminals were roaming free, including 13,099 convicted illegal alien murderers, of which about almost 50% killed more than one person, and they were roaming all over the country in our farms, in our cities. Under the Trump administration, we're moving with urgency and speed to get these vicious and violent criminals the hell out of our country and to restore law and order to our suburbs, our cities, and our towns. And we're going to do it with Tom and with Christy and with all of the people that are working so hard on this. This week, compared to a comparable time a year ago, think of this, the number of illegal border crossers has already fallen by more than 100%. And because the election was coming, they started getting a little bit tougher on the border. They tried to follow our policies, and they did much better, but it still was horrible. The numbers were still horrible, so that's 100% over those. They only did it because of the election, so they knew what they were doing was wrong. And those who do cross the border, and you're seeing that every time, all you have to do is turn on your television set or pick up a newspaper, or read any form of new media, because we have a lot of new media today, fortunately, that's letting the word get out. But they're watching these people be captured and removed from our country. ICE arrests have risen by 15 times in just a short period. And over the past 8 days, the heroes of ICE and Border Patrol, we can never forget Border Patrol. Those people, I've gotten to know so many of them. Our border czar, as you remember, never went to the border and never made a phone call. She was the border czar. She never made one phone call. They went to the heads of the border. They went to the heads of ICE. Did you ever get a call? No. And she admitted she never made one call, but she was the border czar. And that's exactly what our border was all about. The heroes of ICE have arrested thousands and thousands of illegal alien criminals, including hundreds of gang members, traffickers, child predators, terrorists, and murderers. For the first time in history, we're loading dangerous and illegal aliens into military aircraft and flying them back to the places from which they came. You probably read about Colombia 2 days ago. They said, no, we're not taking them. I said, we're going to take them. You're going to take them. You're going to like it, too. You're going to take them. They talked about, we're not going to take people that are in shackles. I said, well, but the people that are in shackles are murderers. They're drug lords, they're rapists, they're very tough people. They make our criminals look like very nice people. That's about the only thing that comes out of this. And I say, could you imagine you're a pilot on the plane and you have your co-pilot and you're sitting there and you have 150 people, no shackles, and they like to murder people? This would not be a good flight. So Colombia apologized to us profusely within an hour based on something I said, meaning you're going to pay tariffs like nobody's ever paid tariffs before, but they actually wanted to terminate his position. They're essentially Congress met and they were very angry with them, but they actually said they were going to send the presidential plane to pick up these criminals and to bring them because they didn't want to inconvenience us or have us do a second flight, and that's what they did. And I appreciate it, and I do appreciate the people of Colombia are wonderful people, and the representatives really acted well, and I appreciated they took back that tough talk. But, you know, we may have tough talk from others, but it's not going to mean anything. They're going to all take them back, and they're going to like it, too. They're going to like it. They're going to take it back, and they're going to like it. Today, I'm also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo. This will double our capacity immediately, right? And that's a tough place to get out of. Today's signings bring us one step closer to eradicating the scourge of migrant crime in our communities once and for all. And it was just it's just an unforced error that we even have to be doing this. Now we need Congress to provide full funding for the complete and total restoration of our sovereign borders, as well as financial support to remove record numbers of illegal aliens. And these are illegal alien killers, criminals at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And you would have known that, and you were there when I said it. I said everybody that's bad is going to be thrown. If you look at Venezuela, Venezuela's crime is down 77% because they've taken their gang members, their prisoners, their drug dealers, their drug lords. They've shipped them all into the United States. Many other countries, their crime is way down, and our crime is not doing well. But we're going to have it do really well very soon, and we're shipping all these people back where they came from. And now, before I sign the Laken-Riley Act into law, I would like to ask Laken's really incredible mother, who I've gotten to know. A very sad day I got to know her. But this is an amazing tribute to an amazing young person. And if you could come up, Allison, and say a few words, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Trump. We would like to thank Senator Katie Britt for her diligent bipartisan work to get this bill through the Senate. We'd also like to thank Congressman Mike Collins for his unwavering passion and for leading on the Laken-Riley Act from the start. Our family will forever be grateful for the prayers of the people across our nation and for helping to get this legislation into law. We also want to thank President Trump for the promises he made to us. He said he would secure our borders and that he would never forget about Laken. And he hasn't. He's a man of his word. We trust that he will fight for the American people. Most importantly, I want to thank our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because without his sacrifices, Laken's story would have ended on that horrific day that she was taken from us. But because of him, we can continue living knowing that we will see Laken again. There's no amount of change that will ever bring back our precious Laken. Our hope moving forward is that her life saves lives. We're so thankful that her passion for helping others and her legacy for doing good in the name of Jesus Christ will carry on. Thank you.
Thank you. Whatever you can do. Unbelievable. Come on, why don't you stand right behind me? Stand right over here. Thank you. We're going to sign this in honor of Laken Riley. Come on up here, some of the people that we love that have been so instrumental. Okay? Okay. Honorable Laken. Thank you.
Mr. President, government funding, can you take a quick question on government funding to pause?
I don't think this is appropriate time, really. I respect that, but I don't think it's appropriate. I can just tell you government is doing very well, and we're cutting way back, but this is not the appropriate time. Thank you.
Some very emotional moments there inside the East Room of the White House. President Trump from the East Room saying, quote, "Every single day we're fighting for America first." That's exactly, Robert, what we're seeing there as he signed that first bill into law as the 47th Commander-in-Chief.
And a moment where he really was the comforter-in-chief to Laken Riley's family, who suffered so much this incredible loss, and Alice and her mother, to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for his salvation and the fact that he tore open that veil so that human beings can once again be united with him in heaven, his own creation back with him. And they hearken to that this is not the end. Because of that sacrifice, we will see our daughter and sister once again. And, you know, Senator Katie Britt of Alabama moving this through the Senate, along with Representative Mike Collins, who introduced it in the House of Georgia as well. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones there in Georgia. This is very personal for a number of these legislators and executive officers who wanted to do this in memory of Laken, a terrible thing. And President Trump also hearkening to other victims, including Jocelyn Nungary and Rachel Morin. Rachel is a similar situation in Bel Air, Maryland, went for a jog. 37-year-old mother of 5 who was brutally murdered and targeted by these monsters. The operation of removing them from the country, and with the military on the border, things are now changing. And nothing can bring back these wonderful people, but we can secure our borders and our future so that this does not happen again.
100%. The Angel family's there in the East Room, as well as the national emergency has been declared by President Trump. So we do have Marines and Army at the southern border as we speak. There's actually video that the Department of Defense has shared with us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, Pete Hegseth, the Department of Defense Secretary, showing various Marines and Army shoring up that border, sealing the border, but also their presence down there along the border. Great to see as we are shutting down the entire southern border and also on the northern border as well, because at the end of the day, we know that having people that are illegal immigrants in this nation doesn't fly, because at the end of the day, you have to have a country and you have to have a border to have that. And that's that video we're referring to right now from the Department of Defense. This was just from a couple days ago. So we're seeing a lot of strong moves made by President Trump, peace through strength right there. And to your point with the Angel families there, President Trump knows how to obviously communicate and be with the people there. They were all invited to this event. They all wanted to be there, something that, of course, Joe Biden didn't even reach out to these people. So we could see President Trump, the man for we the people, in action right there. So again, under the now law by President Trump, the Department of Homeland Security must detain an individual who is unlawfully present in the United States for, it doesn't matter really what crimes. I mean, it's everything from murder to assault, burglary, theft, larceny, shoplifting. They'll be detained by the Department of Homeland Security. And then, of course, he was talking about Guantanamo Bay. Did he say 3,000 or 30,000 beds there? I mean, that's a lot of space there for some criminal illegal aliens. So Tom Homan, he talked about him as well.
Right.
The great Tom Homan.
And of course, we had Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in attendance, also the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and our Vice President J.D. Vance, all attending this signing ceremony, the first bill that President Trump has signed into law and truly a hallmark of his campaign. And then wearing that purple, seemingly wanting to bring the country together. And we had 48 Democrats in the House, 12 Democrat senators as well, coming together to vote for the Laken-Riley Act. It would have been nice to have more, but President Trump also thanking them for the bipartisan support. And we saw in there Senator John Fetterman of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania seemed to have a little bit of tears in his eyes as well, just listening to the testimony, not only by President Trump, but Laken's family members as well. And something very interesting right after that, we had, we're not sure from what network, but someone chimed in with the government funding, really an inappropriate question for that moment. And President Trump had highlighted so many great things happening in the administration, albeit briefly because of the focus of this bill signing. But again, he's touched on this over and over again, that certain things, including Medicare and Social Security, will not be touched. It's incredible how many times that people will repeat the same question, although President Trump and Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt have been very clear on this within the last 24 hours.
Exactly. President Trump shutting it down very graciously with that reporter there asking a question. And as people that are in media here, we know when there's a time to ask a question and when you really shouldn't. And when it has to do with the Angel families being there live in Washington, D.C. for a beautiful law to be signed to help our nation, America First policies, obviously not the time to ask any kind of question to the president. But the person did, and President Trump shut it down. The New York Post is reporting within the past hour, 10 high-ranking members of the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua were taken down this week in a nationwide sweep. led by the NYPD, so the New York Police Department, taking 10 of the Tren de Aragua leaders down, the high-ranking members. We're also hearing from the New York Post that 4 others are also in custody in Florida and Texas. So we're seeing this continue to happen. And let's talk about that a little bit. Carolyn Levitt yesterday with the White House press briefing, if we have that soundbite ready to go, was talking about illegal immigrants and how they're criminals. And she doubled down on it. I think even said it a third time. So, Director, as soon as we have that ready, we'll go to that as well. As we are carrying you live coverage all the way through until 3:15, as we'll see the Vice President Vance swear in Mr. Duffy for the Department of Transportation. But let's go to yesterday when Carolyn Levitt, 27 years old, the youngest White House press secretary in history, hit a grand slam yesterday. But take a listen.
Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
You may have one one of the worst first. They all have a criminal record?
And welcome to the briefing
If they broke our nation's laws, yes, they are criminal.
And to Caroline's point, yes, they broke the law. That's the definition. You came in here, you broke the law, you will be sent back. And I spoke with this years ago with a colleague of mine, actually from Turning Point USA, when we had really gotten many of those different programs started at the organization. And he said, here's the thing about illegal immigration. Why has it been kicked down the road, the can kicked down the road legislatively and by other administrations over the years? If you came over illegally, you broke the law. It's very simple. Now we've seen much more violence and fentanyl and the hundreds of thousands of lives affected really in recent years. And that's why President Trump came down the golden escalator with our glorious First Lady, Melania Trump. And that's what he started off with. The immigration system is broken. That's the main reason why I'm running for president, on top of all of the stupid things that Republican and Democrat administrations have done in the past. He wanted to fix this as a businessman, and he came down really with a heart of gold. And you saw that with Laken's family. Her mom, Allison, just saying, you kept your promise, sir. You listened to us. And for those who really have not followed this, who might now just be tuning into our channel, really look into these stories. They're out there. And really, it's if you're not affected by it, you may be able to turn a blind eye, but imagine losing a loved one to preventable crime. Any crime is terrible, but preventable crime. That's what's amazing here. And this is something where the federal government specifically has jurisdiction over it and has really been missing in action. But now that has changed within the last week and a half.
So we're seeing the Make America Great Again platform unfold before our eyes right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All of this brought to you by a number of sponsors, and without the great sponsors here that are patriotic with awesome products, and without the viewers with donations, we wouldn't be able to do any of this live coverage. So we're thanking all of the sponsors here at the network, of course, and all of the viewers that have really been loyal to Right Side Broadcasting Network. One of our sponsors is Brightcore. So mybrightcore.com has a product, Kimchi 1. You see it on the left side of your screen there. So gut health, immune support, anti-aging properties. Kimchi, very good in the sense of a probiotic to help your system out. So making America healthy again, always a good idea.
Oh, it's always something that you can go to when you feel a little bit tired or a little bit down, because again, that starts right with the gut. It affects everything, especially your mental clarity. Buy 2, get 1 free. Visit mybrightcore.com/RSBN. Receive up to 50% off, or give them a call as well. 888-722-0936. Brightcore, made in the USA. Kimchi 1. I have a few bottles right at my place as well. So it's something important to do to make sure your gut health is in line.
So you got some of them already. That's great.
Yeah, you know me about our sponsors. I have at least one product from each one.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, I want that. I also want the Field of Greens. I want all the stuff that we sell here, because at the end of the day, these are good products. So, and also helping small businesses and some larger businesses out there, and also in turn helping us here at the network. So a win all the way around as we bring you live coverage at 3:15. So we're at the top of the hour here at 3 o'clock, just about 3. on the East Coast, 12 o'clock out there on the West Coast. We're going to go to Washington once again. The vice president that J.D. Vance that was there at the White House in the East Room earlier will be swearing in Sean Duffy, the Department of Transportation Secretary. So great to see another person that is a common sense individual brought in by President Trump.
Absolutely. And usually you don't hear much about the Secretary of Transportation because it's one of those jobs that in the last few administrations, traditionally, they would select the opposite party to come in and sit as their almost reserved seat. So a Democrat would pick a Republican, vice versa. But what we saw last time around with Joe Biden was the DEI hire of Pete Buttigieg, and perhaps the worst Secretary of Transportation out of the now 29 was Sean Duffy, simply because you saw the train derailments, the plane crashes. He was on paternal leave for much of this, and then his office would not respond. Very, very strange how they were so slow to responding to these crucial issues that were in the purview and oversight of his department. The most egregious, perhaps, East Palestine, Ohio, which really brought together what you see now, that Republican ticket that truly was the Make America Great Again ticket of President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance, and the poison that literally went into the river streams and systems of East Palestine, Ohio, and things that will even affect what Bobby Kennedy is trying to solve, as he spoke of today in the confirmation hearing earlier for Health and Human Services Secretary, the poisoning of our soils and the fact that we can't sell our cattle and our poultry overseas. Europe won't even accept it because of the way it's harmed our ranchers and our farmers. So many issues this administration has to tackle, mostly focused on your own health. And this was an overwhelming vote of, I believe it was 77-29 in favor of Sean Duffy to become the next transportation secretary. You might have missed that confirmation as well. That was an earlier one. January 15th, this took place for about a little over 3 hours. It's a committee that Senator Ted Cruz oversees, and that was also the same day of former President Biden giving his farewell speech, which really took up the cycle that day.
Which made me almost fall asleep that day when it came to the farewell speech. I know why President Trump called him Sleepy Joe. It was very, very bland. But anyway, we're here live for you, 3:02 Eastern Time, getting ready to go back to the White House, where the Vice President, J.D. Vance, will swear in Sean Duffy, the Department of Transportation Secretary. So other headlines we're following, of course, more Senate confirmation hearings coming up this week right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Tomorrow, it looks like it's going to be Kash Patel for the head job of the FBI.
Oh, and that's just so thrilling. I mean, we've got to interview the great Kash Patel right here on Right Side Broadcasting, and he's always been transparent with the American people, and he has been involved in national intelligence. You might even perhaps have remembered him in that great documentary, The Plot Against the President. This is someone in the first term who was really in the room where it happened, but you might not have known his name. He has been involved in so much of the operations of Washington, D.C., from the Russia hoax. He really discovered that, along with Congressman Devin Nunes, that, oh, wait a second, this Steele dossier, this is fake, this is produced. They got the ball rolling into the Russia hoax, and now we know that the intelligence community was aligned against President Trump and the first administration. As Chuck Schumer said, if the intelligence community wants you, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting you, and they did just that. And then finally, of course, Kash's great testimony about being in the Oval Office when President Trump authorized the National Guard to go in on January 6th, but we know Mayor Bowser and also then Speaker Nancy Pelosi blocked that, did not accept that. They had to accept those troops. So they still are on the hot seat as to why they would say no to that additional military support. But Kash Patel, the man for this mission, he will be an excellent FBI director. And I'm sure that, as the Democrats did this morning with Bobby Kennedy speaking over him in the hearing, we'll probably see some of the same shenanigans tomorrow.
Those are career politicians that, need to retire, I think, in some ways. That's what we saw today when it came to them coming against RFK Jr. Today. Also, you were talking about intelligence, the Department of National Intelligence Senate hearing for Tulsi Gabbard as well tomorrow. So a lot of news to be had yet this week. Let's go to Tax Network USA, the great Tax Network USA. Of course, the IRS is the largest collection agency in the world, and it just stepped up the enforcement for 2025. But we know, of course, President Trump saying that those 80,000 IRS agents may be going to the border now. If you owe back taxes or have unfiled returns, obviously you want to take care of that. Simply avoiding your tax troubles is the worst thing that you can do. Now, Tax Network USA, getting ahead of this is the smart move, but never contact the IRS alone. You can do that with them right there at 800-357-1415. Tax Network USA, of course, has proven strategies that are designed to settle your tax problems in your favor. Whether you're owed $10,000 or $10 million or $10 maybe, their attorneys and negotiators have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. So you can talk to one of their strategists by going to 800-357-1415, also tnusa.com/RSBN.
They are really great patriots over at Tax Network USA and believe in the values we believe in here at Right Side. We thank them for their sponsorship. Of course, if you're just tuning in 5 minutes after 3 o'clock on the East Coast, I'm Robert McNeely with the magnificent Matthew Alvarez. President Donald Trump has just signed the Laken-Riley Act into law from the White House, and really a star-studded group of congressmen who led this effort, including Mike Collins out of Georgia from the House. This started back in March of last year, and Katie Britt, the senator from Alabama, who really made sure that this was a bipartisan effort. We had 48 Democrat congressmen, 12 Democrat senators who signed on to passing this bill, and something that should not happen in America. Women should not be targeted simply going out and jogging in the afternoon. And something that should have never happened, because this is preventable crime. This is an illegal migrant who should have never been here in the first place. But we know in the last 10 days, President Trump, along with Border Czar Homan and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, on the ground getting the work done. And talk about great leadership. I think of the great Lieutenant General Hal Moore, who passed away. He's from this area, of course, a hero in Korea and Vietnam. As a colonel, making his way up the ranks as career military, he was someone who led his cavalry into every battle. To see Kristi Noem going in there with ICE to go after the worst of the worst, and Tom Homan on those freezing, chilling nights in Chicago to be there and showing us who these people really are, to literally get them out of their rat holes, because this is worse than anything. These are monsters. I mean, they're involved in child pornography, fentanyl trafficking, the molestations of minors, and rape and murder. This Tren de Aragua and MS-13, evil organizations, terrorist organizations, now designated that thanks to President Trump's signing of that executive order. Justice is coming to the land, and it's peace through strength domestically that will show the maniacs overseas as well that President Trump just simply won't put up with the nonsense.
That's why he has that peace through strength, but he also has those strong actions. Why don't we take a look at the southern border, some video from the Department of Defense sent to us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, it's great to see Pete Hegseth, of course, as the Secretary of Defense. As you take a look at the bottom right of your screen, that is Marines and also Army down there along the southern border. We're told 1,600 active duty personnel from the Army and the Marines have deployed to the southern border to augment the approximately 2,500 service members already deployed, and they're all supporting the U.S. Customs and Border Protection's southern border mission, brought on by President Trump, saying that it's a national emergency. Of course, working on the border there. Looking forward to seeing the wall continue to be constructed, of course. And just to shift gears a little bit slightly as we look at the video there live from the White House, this video on the bottom right of your screen was taken about 2 days ago, and right here to us at Right Side. You were talking about Alabama Senator Katie Britt, and also we were talking between some commercial breaks earlier of the Georgia Congressman Brian Jack, two people that we'd love to have on the broadcast sometime here soon, as we see other people other than President Trump that are part of Team MAGA or Team Trump doing great things for our country as well from the state perspective.
Well, and rarely do you have that opportunity to significantly support people in their time of need, as an elected official. As we saw there for the signing, President Trump as commander-in-chief really became comforter-in-chief. And Allison, the mother of Laken Riley, just saying that, sir, you did not forget us. You were there with us, and thank God for that, because this has been, something that will never bring back their daughter, but it will help protect people in the future, those law-abiding citizens who have been terrorized by people who came out here illegally. And we open our arms. We are the most generous nation truly in the world. We see it every day from Auburn, Alabama, but also as you go out throughout the country, as we traveled miles and miles during the campaign, the generosity and the optimism of the American people is second to none. They should be able to go on jogs safely and freely and to move about throughout their day, not having to fear the loss of life and torture from people who do not care for our system of law and order and our Constitution. And this was a moment you could clearly see a special embrace between Senator Katie Britt of Alabama and Laken Riley's family for having helped push this through the Senate. And again, we saw tears from Senator John Fetterman, the Democrat from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So this was something where people can come together. You saw President Trump's purple tie on. This is not about Republican and Democrat. It's about defending the American way of life and making America healthy, safe, and great again.
100%. And on top of that, we see it's all about the MAGA agenda to come together, right, of course, as we take that live look at the White House there. And we saw, the Angel families there. We saw in previous situations, Gold Star families. President Trump's always hanging with the people that are affected as well. Right. He's a man of the people, as you guys know. I know that's preaching to the choir, but that's what we see here. We're seeing it in live time right here on RSBN Live. And it seems that we, the people, are choosing this conservative live stream over the mainstream any day of the week. So we're seeing a lot of live access right now on Right Side Broadcasting.
And thank you so much for your viewership. And if you care enough and have a few spare dollars, please feel free to donate. You can do that over at rsbnetwork.com. And then if you want to subscribe as well, rsbnetwork.com/newsletter, a great way to get all of the live updates of what's going on throughout the day. Or there you go on your screen there too. Text RSBN to 801-801. We graciously will accept that, and thank you for your support, because we are citizen journalists out there getting you the truth. But as a programming note, we have so much more in store as we have this great access to not only the 47th President of the United States and the 50th Vice President of the United States, but all of the doings in the 119th Congress, and even those stories in your neck of the woods as well that are outside of the Beltway.
Exactly, including the other day on Friday, of course, President Trump down to Western North Carolina. We had that coverage live. His flight on Air Force One to Los Angeles, his tour of the Pacific Palisades, his rally in Nevada. So cameras are everywhere when it comes to Right Side Broadcasting Network with the live feeds that we get. But we also have some great camera operators right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, just traveling at a last-second situation on Saturday to Nevada for that rally.
Oh, and of course you saw the classy Christina Loren, who hopped on that plane, got right out to Las Vegas, Nevada, the Silver State. So we are just very grateful to everyone here at RSBN and their timeless dedication to bringing you the truth. And you just don't get this from other networks, quite frankly. So we're proud to be your truth network at Right Side Broadcasting. We are on the right side of history. We know you are too. So please like and share, subscribe across all different social media platforms. And, tell your friends about it, because every once in a while, someone will mention, I didn't know you were on during this time or during the day. And, we are going a little bit into a new realm of the post-rally world. Of course, we've had 2 rallies since the new year, and we're sure President Trump will do some of those in the future, but a different landscape as he's now hard at work at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
If you guys watch any of our rally coverage, of course, over the years, we are the People's Network. We love you guys. We're with you. And we're glad that there are other conservative outlets. Let's just be straight up, because at the end of the day, working for the same cause of freedom for this nation. So we really appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're going to have a lot of coverage coming up. Let's go to Colonial Metals Group, one of the great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. I think Robert has a very cool free gold guide about to show you here.
Dramatically bringing it across
you brought it here. Very nicely done. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Here it is. You can get this too. All you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. All the information you need about Colonial Metals Group. So the 401k, tax-sheltered IRA, backed in gold. We know gold always has high value.
It's your hedge against inflation, and it's done so against everything. Think about the tales as old as time, like Beauty and the Beast, for example. I think of Three Musketeers. Remember when they would throw the gold out to those the poor against Cardinal Fish? If you love that Disney movie, I know I do. It's a classic novel as well. But you can now QR code this to your financial future. Shield your savings now, because we have always seen this in the whole of human history. Look at all the money that's been printed. I mean, the Biden inflation that's taken place, skyrocketing debt. Protect your financial future against properties, other assets, even your 401k and IRA. Get this gold, silver, tangible metals, and all this information in a free gold guide that really is no obligation. It just helps you to find out what's best for you and your family.
Always good to have a free gold guide to understand how this whole process works. So freegoldguide.com/RSBN. It is 3:15, getting ready to go to the Vice President, J.D. Vance, to swear in Sean Duffy, the Secretary of the Department of Transportation. So we're looking forward to bringing you that live coverage. Both the President and the Vice President today, seeing both of them from the White House. Always good to see that. So again, coverage tomorrow, Kash Patel right here on RSBN as we watch the Senate hearing, the Senate confirmation hearing, and as we move forward with more coverage. And shifting gears slightly real quick, those of you that were watching the other day, Robert says the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm saying the Eagles will win. But by the way, you're wearing an eagle-looking tie.
Oh, this is my Make America Healthy Again / St. Patrick's tie.
Okay, that's good. All right.
Well, I'll make sure I won't wear any green before Super Bowl Sunday.
No more green.
Because the Chiefs are going to win. And I'm going to say now, because I was correct on 312 electoral votes, I want to say the score will be 34-23. I'm sticking to it. 34-23 Chiefs over the Eagles to make it their third straight Super Bowl victory.
All right, 27-13 Eagles win another Super Bowl.
Okay. So maybe Kalshi will be featuring this as a bet on their wonderful site between the wonderful Robert McNeely and the magnificent Matthew Alvarez.
Well, there you go. The lovely names. But you know what's funny? We were calling Bobby for a while, but now it's Robert McNeely. So just in case you missed that, I was calling him Robert McNeely the other day for the inauguration coverage, and I go, we're going to send it out to Robert McNeely, and I'm like, you know what? That sounds pretty good. We're sticking to Robert. So
we're going with the legal name from now on, but you're welcome to call me Bobby when you message us across our social media platforms. And speaking of that, Matthew, where can they find you?
At Matthew Alvarez on Truth Social. And where can they find you?
I'm over on Truth Social as well at Robert B. McNeely, or hit me up on Instagram as well. That is Robert McNeely TV. And I might add some more to that. You know, social media is so interesting nowadays, a lot to keep up with, but it's a great way for you to help us with pitching some story ideas as well, because we'd love to come out to talk to you, the American people. And you know, we were along the trail with you, and one of the most exciting things we do here at Right Side Broadcasting, I think better than anyone else, is actually talking to the pulse of the American people with our man on the street interviews, because how inspiring has it been over the last 10 years of people who were traditionally non-political, who have gotten involved in the MAGA movement and now the MAHA movement to safely secure and bring back common sense to American democracy. And now we're looking at, I believe that's just outside, I think this is still the White House, the Eisenhower complex, which is right next to the White House itself. It's on the grounds, and that's where the Vice President's office is, overlooking, of course, the West Wing as well, and that's actually where the vice presidential motorcade is.
And that's the outside the West Wing of the White House.
Correct. So the vice president actually can look over that from a balcony, and that's why I think you have such, you know, at times we clearly don't see with this partnership. This is one of the best partnerships in American history between President Trump and Vice President Vance. But sometimes those vice presidents, maybe on a Friday afternoon, might be sipping their favorite beverage, perhaps a cigar, overlooking that West Wing, thinking, maybe I can fit in that office at some point. But, you know, it's really, when you hear communications efforts outside of the press secretary's office or the communications department, when it's a White House resolution or a White House statement, that is most likely actually being produced right in the Eisenhower building. So a very ornate building. And when they talk about that entire complex, that includes the White House. So kind of a fun little fact there when, you know, only people in the Beltway somewhat know. But now here on the Right Side Broadcasting, you know that in case you didn't, because we are obsessed with everything that is American democracy.
And politics, of course.
Right.
You know, I mean, it really steers the way of a country, steers the way of a people. And that's why we were talking about that fork in the road so much prior to Election Day. We know we were at a fork in the road. We were going to go left and go down woke and weak policies to the failure and destruction of our country, or were we going to go right to the right side of history for everything make America great again? So, you know, again, people have to remember here at Right Side that we do love common sense and truth in the Constitution, right? So President Trump stands for those things. So therefore, you're going to hear people that are saying, yay, President Trump. I mean, because it stands for the truth. And that's why, you know, we cover what we're covering here right now from Washington, D.C., as we're going to see the Vice President here shortly. Let's talk about transportation a little bit across the country. For those of you that have too many potholes in your towns over the winter time, maybe in the Northeast and other places in the Midwest or out there and all across the country, I mean, we looking to have the Department of Transportation made great again, having great roads, great bridges, great underpasses, all of the signage that's out there, all of the railway systems that are out there, just to really shore up the safety of our roadways.
Right, and we don't need a DEI hire that we had in the last administration. Pete Buttigieg, a complete failure, and you saw so many derailments and toxic, hazardous issues occur because of his lack of leadership. But Sean Duffy, someone who was really a leader on transportation issues when he was in Congress from 2011 to 2019. And of course, you may know him and Rachel Campos Duffy, the wonderful co-host over at Fox and Friends on the Weekend, who worked closely with Pete Hegseth, our new defense secretary. They had met doing the Road Rules Challenge back on MTV years ago. So people who really got to learn post-college about these issues going out there and being on reality TV. So it's kind of interesting how those things can prepare you for servant roles in the future. And I think Sean Duffy will be one of the finest transportation secretaries we've seen in recent memory.
Exactly. And let's just dive into the whole diversity and the DEI situation there. Again, regardless of what somebody looks like or what they're into politically speaking, if they do the job great. But you don't put someone in just because they are something.
Oh, exactly.
Right? It's because they do a great job. So obviously that wasn't the case for Pete Buttigieg when it comes to doing a great job. But how about President Trump traveling to, and with J.D. Vance, I remember playing that soundbite the other day, to East Palestine, Ohio, and then obviously to Western North Carolina, to Los Angeles. All of these things that President Trump's working on, those 20 core promises, I believe all of the executive orders that he's signed so far have to do with at least all 20 of them at this point. I mean, we're going to see it all unfold before our eyes here at the network, and of course we'll have it here for you live.
And I'm thrilled to see, I think in the next week or so, I'm sure some kind of agreed to peace between Russia and Ukraine ultimately. We do know that next week as well, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel coming to visit President Trump at the White House. So that's exciting to see those things moving forward. It's incredible the breakneck pace that President Trump moves at. I mean, it's nonstop, and he has a staff that is ready, willing, and able to follow his lead and execute on his plans to make America great again. And I think that was just highlighted by Bobby Kennedy today, saying that I don't need this job. I have a very happy and healthy family, but I want to help serve the country. And this was something I prayed about for nearly 2 decades. On my knees asking God, put me in a position to fight the chronic disease epidemic in America. And as he said, God gave him President Donald Trump.
Exactly. And then on top of that, we've got great people like the White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, who again hit a grand slam home run yesterday with the not only the energy but the content, the 1-2 figuratively speaking punch that she had there. When the people were trying to ask all these slanted and all over the place questions, she just right there stood her ground and did a great job as a spokesperson for the president. And as you said earlier in our coverage, we know President Trump is the best communicator when it comes to the White House. But Carolyn Levitt is also a great communicator, as you guys have seen her on this network and even on other networks. You know, she just has always been right on point. And speaking of that, Director, can we go to the soundbite from yesterday where Carolyn was asked about telling the truth to the American people? So please let me know when we have that, and then we can go to it. As it's 3:24 Eastern Time here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Looking forward to seeing the Vice President, J.D. Vance, shortly. And looking forward to tomorrow's coverage as well with Kash Patel, also Tulsi Gabbard, again, with the Department of National Intelligence. So a lot of coverage coming up here at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
So exciting to see everything unfolding in this second term of President Donald Trump, number 47. Just think about this, Matthew. 10 years of President Trump's mission to make America great again that has inspired so many people, as you said earlier, like Senator Katie Britt, who really wanted to serve her family as well and has done an extraordinary job in the United States Senate, but countless people who have come to this movement over the years wanting to serve their communities and serve their fellow man.
Exactly. All right, so we'll be going at the bottom of the hour. It looks like a little closer to that, to the area there where J.D. Vance, the Vice President, will swear in the Department of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. Let's look at a few other headlines that we're seeing out there. Again, if you're just joining us now, the New York Post is reporting that 10 high-ranking members of the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua were taken down this week in a nationwide sweep led by the New York Police Department, so the NYPD, taking down 10 of the high-ranking members of Tren de Aragua. And then there's 4 of them in custody in other places like Florida and Texas. So we're seeing ICE out there, and also local police departments like the New York Police Department taking care of business. So, Robert, let's toss to the soundbite from yesterday when it comes to Carolyn Levitt.
Very excited to see her back in action, and I could replay the entire thing. I thought it was such a great press conference, and we now know as well how accessible they will be to the press and in turn to us, the American people. So we'll send that to yesterday, Caroline Levitt in the James Brady press briefing room.
Speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as speaking on, advocating on behalf of the president, or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people, and that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
The 36th Press Secretary of the United States, Carolyn Levitt. I mean, an outstanding performance. And as she said, too, I won't have to really have a hard time at this podium because you're having so much truth and common sense coming from the Commander-in-Chief. But asking them as well, we're going to hold you accountable, media. And how exciting is it with whitehouse.gov/new media? If you're a content creator, if you're on social media getting your message out there, you now have an invitation to sit right in the front of that press briefing room. And I think it's outstanding for transparency.
Definitely. So the White House is taking the registration and the applications for a press credential there, so a citizen journalist, that kind of thing. So it's great to see that transparency from the Brady press briefing room. And after you just heard that soundbite or that excerpt from yesterday with Carolyn Levitt, it was almost a mic drop right there. So I almost wanted to take this mic and just, I mean, that's what it was like for her. So it was great to see that yesterday as we are at the bottom of the hour, 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 out there on the West Coast. Thanks so much for sticking with us live on this Wednesday, January 29th. Getting ready for the next month coming up here, and Valentine's Day around the corner. So always good to get some products that you see on our social media platforms and also right here live. So a lot of great gifts for loved ones. So it's a lot of gifts, including the MyPillow stuff is always good.
I mean, that's and so many different options, whether it's the slippers or lovely robes and the towel sets. My goodness, guys, listen, I mean, if you want to impress your girl, MyPillow's the way to go. And Mike Lindell with his great team up in Minnesota, producing everything really American made, and also coming high quality products with the Giza Dream Sheets, for example. It comes from North Africa, that Egyptian area there that just is known for its cotton. So I mean, really incredible stuff that Mike Lindell has put together, and everyone who knows his life story, it's really a godsend. He is a man who had turned his life towards Christ, and look at the lives he's affected as a result. And it's wonderful interviewing him, isn't it? It's almost as if he's walking on air, and he just says, look, it's all Jesus here. That's what it's all about. He redeemed me, and he could do it for you as well. And he's turned this into one of the most successful and helpful businesses in the country. Also, a great voice for election integrity and the Constitution and the First Amendment. So we dearly love and care for our friend Mike Lindell, and I think, it might help out some of the guys that need last-minute gifts. But we're warning you, gentlemen. I mean, it's January 29th. We got, 16 days, give or take?
Yeah. So exactly. Yeah, so freedom of speech, freedom of religion, alive and well here in this nation, along with the entire Constitution, of course. Why don't we do what we did earlier, where we threw it to the room live, so you get the feel of what it's like to actually be there. So let's do that now as we await the Vice President to swear in the new Department of Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy. Let's go there live now.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here, of course, with our Secretary of Transportation designee, Mr. Duffy, and his beautiful family, all 9 kids. I joke that these guys are doing their best to solve the fertility crisis in the United States of America. And just a beautiful family, and it's really a testament and a credit to our great country that such a family is willing to serve, first, of course, in Congress, and now as Secretary of Transportation. I think that I'm not being too mean to our predecessors in saying that we spent a lot of money in the last administration but didn't get a lot out of it. And I think we're going to have a Secretary of Transportation here who is a much better steward of taxpayer dollars, but also make sure those taxpayer dollars are spent wisely and actually go to the places that the administration needs them to go. So we're thrilled that you're willing to serve, of course thrilled by the President's nominating you, and grateful to our Senate colleagues, especially Senator Blackburn, Senator Sullivan here, for making it possible for you not to just be the nominee, but now the actual Secretary of Transportation. But first, before that, you've got to take this oath of office. So let's go ahead and do that. If you would, put your hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. I, Sean Duffy.
I, Sean Duffy.
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office about which I am to enter.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Secretary.
Well, Mr. Vice President, thank you for taking the time to swear us in today. I'm so appreciative of that. I want to take a moment and thank probably the greatest president we've had in our lifetime, but maybe the greatest president ever, Donald J. Trump, for giving me this amazing opportunity to serve as a secretary in this administration in the Department of Transportation. I am very grateful for his trust. I want to thank my wife, Rachel, who has been with me for 25 years. How she's lasted so long, I'm not quite sure, but I'm grateful for that. And our 9 kids, 7 of them are with us today, so thank you to them. The senators who are here, Sullivan and Blackburn, your support, I'm so grateful to and for the committee and their support and help as we've gone through the process. Thank you for that. And to my Sherpa team, who has been so helpful in getting us through the process. Everyone says it's a hard process, and you don't really know how hard it is until you actually go through it personally. But just if I take a moment, we are going to usher in the golden age of transportation. We're going to work on efficiency, making sure our infrastructure actually works for the American people, for the American family, making sure that you can get to and from work, back to your family in a timely fashion. We're going to work on congestion, work on an airspace that is more efficient, getting people to fly in airplanes and not wait in terminals is our mission. But I think we're in an amazing time as well, because when you think of the Department of Transportation, you don't think of innovation, and we are in one of the most innovative spaces, I think, in government, Mr. Vice President, whether it's with drones or autonomous vehicles or eVTOLs, or to say Ubers in the air, another term for them. But we are in a race to beat the rest of the world, and to make sure we have rules in place that are going to make America the best home for this innovation is critical. We are going to work on that at the Department of Transportation. 47,000 employees strong. I guess that's not going to grow at all with the new executive order, but it's a great team, and I look forward to working with them. And again, I'm honored that you did this today, Mr. Vice President. I'm honored for the President and his trust that he's placed in me. And with that, let's get to work. Thank you.
All right, guys. I think we're going to take some photos.
She's a bit of a hugger.
Here we go. All right. That's right. Marcia, were you talking to me or talking to her? Right. Now, to make this fully official, we've got to sign this. So let's take this, and thank you all for being here. God bless you. Take care, guys. Come on, guys. You come back with us.
Sir, are you going to commit to supplying weapons to Ukraine?
Mr. Vice President, how do you think RFK Jr. is doing?
All right, so some brief moments there, but some great moments from the new Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Sean Duffy.
A beautiful family and 25 years of wedded bliss with Rachel Campos Duffy, his lovely wife. And they have been culture warriors for a long time. I can remember going to a YAF event back in 2012, and they really highlighted the difference between, say, the Mitt Romney version of the Republican Party and now Donald Trump. President Trump was engaged in the culture, didn't see himself as above it, but rather that he had to be part of the narrative. And I think that was the difference, because the Duffys understand that. How do you win the culture war? It's by being involved, ready, willing, and able to serve your fellow man. And they're one of the finest families out there doing that. And I like the moment with the vice president just saying that they have maybe part of solving the fertility problem with 9 wonderful children, and 7 of them they're in attendance today.
That's wild. 9 kids. That's great. I mean, my wife and I, we have 1. We'll see. We're going to have more. But, I mean, that's great. It's 3:39 Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much for streaming in with us live all day today. Various live coverage. You can always catch us on X or Truth Social, or watch the replays, and also on Rumble or YouTube when it comes to next programming notes. You'll be able to see the date, the time that things start. Tomorrow, I'm told we're starting at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as we'll be going to coverage for the FBI Senate hearing when it comes to Kash Patel being the possible lead of that agency. Of course, a great pick by President Trump. We'll have that coverage for you here. Let's start out with thanking some of our sponsors before we go. The great Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group, you see this free gold guide right here. So it's freegoldguide.com. A great sponsor here at this network. We want to thank them so much for sponsoring this broadcast today.
Yes, they are outstanding. You can actually just take a quick picture of that QR code there to shield your savings now. Of course, this is your hedge against inflation with a timeless commodity, gold, silver, precious metals. And this guide is no nonsense and no obligation, just gives you some options for you and your family as you look to secure your retirement and the hard things that you've worked so big for over the years. And you should keep that as it's yours. So
yeah,
makes sense.
Definitely. So let's move on to the Tax Network USA as well, staying in the financial area. You can call 800-357-1415 for more information on Tax Network USA. They'll be right there alongside you as you, if you have any questions about back taxes or even the upcoming tax season here in April. So 800-357-1415. Let's move on to Brightcore, mybrightcore.com. If you go to mybrightcore.com, buy 2 Kimchi One products there. This is a probiotic that really does the job for making America healthy again, at least a part of it. Obviously, we have to eat healthy and, working out and all that stuff. I'm preaching to myself here at this point. But definitely a great product there, Robert, as well.
Oh, it is. It all starts with the health in the gut, which can affect your mind and just your overall outlook on things. And right now, buy 2, get 1 free, mybrightcore.com/RSBN, or call that number there, 888-722-0936. Brightcore, proudly made in the USA, Kimchi One of their best products.
All right, and if there are any more sponsors, the director can let me know, but I know MyPillow is always good. And speaking of MyPillow, let's go to it. MyPillow.com, right there, the mega sale. Robert, you know what? Take it away.
Yes, it's the My Cross. You can save 30% off. That's the actual replica of that wonderful cross that Mr. Mike Lindell wears. And My Towel is going for $29.98 right now. Flannel shirts only $44.98 with the winter months, and a nice look if you're looking to go out for a quick night on the town. MyPillow.com/RSBN. You could save up to 80% off of everything right now. We know Mike is a great marketer and a huge supporter of our Bill of Rights, our founding documents, the freedom of speech, and probably was the leader on election integrity in so many ways in the last few years. And I will say it here all the time, I think he should be the next governor of Minnesota. I know that might not be on the docket for him, but I think he'd be great in that position.
I'm hearing Minneapolis, St. Paul cheering right now like the Minnesota Wild does, the hockey team up there, the great NHL team. So that would be awesome. Governor Lindell. All right. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, you just text RSBN to 801-801, RSBN to 801-801. We also have a newsletter.
We do, and that's at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. Of course, also the rsbnetwork.com/donate, which you see right there on your screen. And this will give you all the updates too, on a regular basis of all of these hearings, everything that's going on in the Beltway and outside of it as well, because you know that President Trump is a media magnet himself, and really, every day, it's always a new adventure here in the golden era of the United States, and Right Side Broadcasting will be here at every turn and every moment so you can digest everything coming from the new administration and, of course, the 119th Congress.
Speaking of that, programming note, tomorrow at 9:30, actually 8:30 Eastern. We're going to go live at 8:30 Eastern tomorrow as we get ready to hear from Kash Patel at the Senate confirmation hearing, all about that lead position there at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, of course. So for Robert McNeely, I'm Matthew Alvarez, and all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, thanks guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the morning.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen-size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.